Still have the allergy issue. Let's call the meeting to order. I have 6:03 p.m. On board with us tonight, we have Kevin Allard, treasurer, myself, president, Jessica, our director, Chaz, our vice president, Celicia as one of our assistants, Jennifer as our secretary, Paula as a trustee, and Sherry as another one of our assistants. First off, can we get an approval of the agenda as it stands? Anyone have any corrections or revisions that need to be made to the agenda? Great.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So Jen, Chaz made the motion and Paula seconded. I should be repeating that for you. Let's everyone have a chance to take a look at the minutes of the last meeting from April 2nd. Any corrections or revisions to that?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, Kevin has made the motion.
I'll second.
Chaz has seconded. All in favor of approving last minute's meetings?
Aye.
Thank you. On to our reports. Jessica, what do you have for a director's report? I know you haven't had a whole lot going on in the library.
I didn't send a report because we don't really need one right now.
Right.
We don't have much other than online programming and the Youth Bureau grant. I just contacted them. They said it's not canceled or postponed, but to still apply anyways.
Okay.
Because I thought it was going to be canceled because, you know, the coronavirus and everything else. Funding problems, so.
I don't think there'll be any money for it, honestly. But we still should apply.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just said apply anyways. Even though we don't know what's going to be, you know, in the future, what events we're going to be able to have or do by this summer. Everything might be canceled. I mean, the state fair is hanging by a thread.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you might be able to get more speakers or whatever that might charge a fee. And so we'll be able to include those, because I noticed that you've got a new local authors thing series going on. The anime artist, you've got registrations going for that. So, you know, if we get the grant money, then and we can't open the building, we can still pay for programming in some form.
We are still planning the community nights. What we're having now is certain book or entertainment acts that have been booked are not returning emails now. So we're waiting on contracts. So we'll see. But the plan is right now to continue to start it the 30th of June.
Okay. Okay. I know some places have already canceled 4th of July events. I did talk to the director of Harborfest, and they're still planning on having it. Mm-hmm. So July is still kind of up in the air. I think June is getting kind of shot down, but July is still up in the air. So let's hope for the best. Jessica, have you got any numbers for the online, the e-media?
Oh yes, I did get that. I'll tell you what it is. Let me see. Let me look it up online. Because I added it to the last my last report, but that was after the fact. But I'll look right now on the website.
I was just curious if it's something that people in our community are actually using.
The numbers weren't that different compared to last year, which really shocked me. But that was for just the month of March, though, when the virus started happening. So let me try to get this.
Okay. Well, we'll be curious to see how things look at the end of April.
I think in part it's because we actually had very high numbers for the last week or so that we were open. It probably was almost like a full month of March normally would have been. The numbers were that close.
Right, but we're almost a month later now at this point. I would think that people have gone through quite a bit of their book stash.
Yes.
Okay.
That number doesn't include viewership for the stuff we have online.
Right.
No,
Like, for example, the one story hour had over 500 views. I couldn't believe that. So is that like, I didn't know if those numbers were included in what you guys are talking about, viewership.
no, they're not. And that's something that, can we get those numbers for the next meeting? Because it'll be the end of April, and it'd be nice to know that the YouTubing is paying off, that efforts are valuable.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause that
Yeah,
was
the
amazing.
Facebook Insight numbers.
Yeah, Facebook Insights. Celicia knows a lot more about that than I do. And
Yeah.
Jennifer, I'm sure, does too. So if you can, Celicia, if you can pull that information, because I know that's part of your requirements. So while we're there, I just wanted to ask each of our assistants, like Sherry, I know that you've run out of the pre-recorded videos that you and Celicia did. What else are you doing as far as working from home?
Right. I just finished a 11-hour supercharged story hour course through what's that place called, Jessica?
Web Junction? Yeah,
the
Web
Web
Junction.
Junction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished an 11-hour course with them, which was really great considering I do story hour. So I want to do live on Friday. I've done 3 things that were not successful. And I think it's just a matter, and I've talked with Celicia, but I don't, somehow I'm logged in. I log out of my Facebook. I go into that Facebook, and then I post on there, but none of my posts are coming up. I posted like a sewing video. I posted how to make, like, there's things I'm posting, but they're not sharing. Like I posted yesterday how to make crayons from home, like, so in other words, I'm having some technical difficulties because it's not something I normally do. But I posted on my personal Facebook without problem. But for some reason, I'm not able to post on the libraries. And I'm going in as I'm signing in. So I have a lot more I want to post, and I want to do story hour live on Friday, but I was going to just check with Jessica tomorrow. I was just going to give her a call and find out how she's doing it, because she's doing it, but I'm not being able to get through for some reason. I'm posting on there and I don't know where they are.
Okay, we did discuss a little bit of that before you got on, because Celicia said that you were having some difficulty. So if you want to, like you said, go ahead and talk with Celicia and Jessica and get that squared around, it'd be great.
Yeah.
How about you were doing a knitting and crocheting club? Are you able to teach beginning knitting or crocheting or something?
Well, I mean, I could do that. The only reason I sound hesitant is probably because there's so much stuff out there that shows it. So I was looking at it from that way. I'm like, why would anyone want to watch me do it when there are so many videos on YouTube about learning to knit, Unless we were just looking for the more personal piece that it's me and the library, or, we want to do it that way.
Oh, I always like the more personal touch. Personally, I do. But another alternative too is if you find a very good video about, just the beginnings of knitting, you could share that and then say if anyone has any questions, or you could throw in tips and ideas of your own that you found that would go along with the video.
We got to be careful. We got to be careful about that, because we have to make sure that whatever we're sharing is shareable, because we're an institution and we could get sued for copyright infringement.
Absolutely. We always have to watch for copyright infringement.
If we're taking it off YouTube, is
No,
that an
that's
infringement?
fine. You just include, you include the link to YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. I think what it is, I just got to get that, because that's what I did do the other day. I did share a learning to sew with children kind of thing, because I know we have some patrons out there who have been talking about it with me. So when I found this excellent video, I shared it on our page again. And like I said, it didn't come through, and I don't know. So I think it's just probably a minor thing that I'm doing on my end, and I just need to clarify it with somebody who knows. I've talked with Celicia, but she's not really sure, because all my devices are Apple, and so she's not as, she doesn't understand the way that works on mine. I don't know. So
I upload my videos on YouTube, and then I share the link on, when we create a post or something on Facebook, I just say, here's the link to the YouTube video.
Okay.
I mean, that's all. I have Movie Maker on my computer, so I just make my little movie and then I upload it. It takes forever to upload, but if you have a slow connection, but
so I am willing. I just lack the knowledge to do that. So if there's a way that someone could just show me, then that's I'd be posting things left and right.
Great. Okay.
you know.
Thank you.
Jim, just to go back to what you were asking, the first Little Readers video that we posted actually had over 951 views.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a tremendous response.
That's
And
incredible.
since then, we on average, the Little Readers are getting at least 250 views.
Excellent.
And
Holy
today was
cow.
the animators event is doing extremely well with viewage. That's up over 300. And last night I shared a writing course kind of for
God
children.
bless you.
That's over 200. And today was the first day of our At Home with the Author series. And that's over 250 already. So
Good news.
That's
we're getting
great.
good numbers online.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Question for you. Something that requires a registration, like the anime artist one. Is there a way to restrict that to just card holders first or completely? Or is that just out there for anyone in the multiverse?
Well, it's out there, but they're contacting Jessica directly. So she knows if they're a patron of ours, usually because we know our patrons pretty well. So far, Jess, have we gotten anyone that's not a patron to sign up?
Surprisingly, no. I am shocked. I thought people would be sending tons of emails, messages within the first few minutes of opening up the registration, like the Build-A-Bear. Now that was within an hour, but this one, no, not yet.
Okay. Okay,
So
because that was my
share it.
concern is that, I mean, we're putting this out there for our community, and I'm not saying I don't want other people to be able to, but if other people outside of our community fill up the registration, we're going to have unhappy community members, people who are normally patrons of the library.
You could always have them put in their library card number to register. And if
Okay.
they don't have it and it's blank, then we kind of know one way or the other.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, there's a workaround to that. They can always go on and get a library card. But
Right.
at least that way we know who it is. Then we've got some
Yeah.
documentation on them too. So
And
okay.
make like you have a library card checkbox, yes or no. And if they say no, here's how you get one.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Celestia, what are you working on besides Facebook?
Well, Facebook has taken up a large portion of my time, but also researching and inviting the authors to our at-home series. That was something Jessica had mentioned once in conversation, and I ran with it. So I've got 3 authors on board for a 4-week series. Hoping to hear from my 4th guy soon. But if not, I'll wrangle somebody.
Did you try Tim? Did you try Tim Pauldine?
I have not.
Okay. Do you know who he is?
I've heard of him.
Oh, he wrote the book about Sandy Pond. So if you that other one doesn't work out, let me know. I have his contact information. I can give it to you.
Okay, I will do that.
We have so far.
Sheila Myers is our first one. And Aaron Kelly, who wrote a Twilight-like series set in Syracuse, will be our second author. I'm not going to remember the third name off the top of my head.
That's really cool, Celestia. That's very cool.
Yeah. Do you think
Thank
it
you.
could extend past 4?
I wanted to start with 4 because I'm kind of really hopeful we'll get back into our library at some point, and I'd like to actually have this continue on as an in-person meet and greet.
Yeah.
But at that rate, I would not be doing it every week like I'm planning now.
Right.
Okay. Very good. All right. Jessica, do you have anything to add?
It's a lot cheaper to do it from this online because you don't have to pay for travel or expenses, and they often do it just for free, so it saves money that way.
Everyone has.
Well,
There's a lot of
We are
celebrities.
frugal.
I told Salisha there's a lot of celebrities sitting at home right now waiting to talk to people online. You see a lot of them performing in their houses, music. Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood recently did a concert in their house. Had like 5 million people watching it.
Wow.
So,
Okay, very good. Well, it's good to get an update on you know, what's going on and what everybody's working on, and it's also good for the public if anyone is viewing this to see, you know, that you guys really are putting in the efforts, and we're trying to keep this library going even during this social distancing.
You would be surprised how many people have asked me since the closure, how can you be an at-home librarian? And I have responded so many times. It takes much more effort than being an in the library librarian. It takes a lot more thoughtfulness and planning, a lot more coordinating things. It's been a team effort, really.
You
I
guys
love
have
that
done an
expression,
exceptional
at-home librarian.
job. You guys have really done a great job. Just judging from the other library pages and things that I follow in the area, I think you guys are going above and beyond and doing an excellent job of just keeping people doing something and active online. And as we've learned through our schools, that the social media participation right now is through the roof. That's how people are getting their information. No one really wants to watch the news. The news is depressing and overwhelming. They're kind of being able to pick and choose what they read through social media. And so having that presence with the library is we're reaching so many more people in this area, and you're doing a great job.
You are. You are. You know, the NYLA News You Can Use email came out today, and there was an article in there, their findings on a survey they'd done of what libraries are doing during the shutdowns. And what they've talked about are all things that we started right from the outset. So it's fantastic that, you know, we didn't wait for someone to give us the ideas. Our library jumped on board and started creating programming.
And what I really find is that, you know, libraries are supposed to be where you go for information. So the fact that people are turning to our Facebook page to find information, it means that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, even with the doors closed.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's move along in our agenda. Kevin, financial report.
Okay,
You sent it
so,
earlier.
yep. The bank balances as the end of March are in the report. The unscheduled bills for the last 2 weeks are Collaborative Summer Reading Program, $221.60, and to NCLS for our annual router support and licensing for $171. The remainder of the unscheduled bills are listed in the report.
Okay.
So at this point in time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the unscheduled bills.
I have just a question. What is the Collaborative Summer Reading Program? Is that our summer reading program? We have to pay for materials or something?
supplies and,
Okay.
you know, giveaways, little goodies to give away, and, you know, little bags and treats and things to give to the people, and for projects,
Okay.
T-shirts and things
All
like
right.
that.
Yeah, they send out a brochure every year that
Crafts.
with a new theme, and then they sell stuff accordingly to go with it to promote it.
Okay. We lost Jennifer. So, well, we have a motion on the table to approve the payment of the unscheduled bills and accept the financial report. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We'll give
Somebody
Paul a
can.
second. Jen, are you coming back to us? Oh, here she comes.
There she is.
Welcome back.
Can you hear me?
Almost. We can hear you.
Yeah.
There you are. Okay. All we did was we accepted the financial report and approved the payment of the unscheduled bills. Kevin made the motion. Chad seconded.
And
So
we-
now can I get a vote from everyone? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Now that Jennifer's back, we could do the vote. So
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like,
that's okay. Next is our period of public expression. Do we have any public on making comments or asking to speak?
No.
Okay, then we shall just move it right along. Right now I hear Fozzie Bear humming singing along. Only some of you will get that, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Jim, you've been in quarantine too long.
Oh, you have no idea. I don't do well in quarantine. I said that on Facebook. Do we have any correspondence and communication?
No, not lately.
All right. That could be a good thing.
Just bills, bills, and more bills. That's about it.
Paula, we really haven't done a whole lot, so we probably don't have any outstanding actionable items at this time.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. On to the capital project. Kevin.
So I spoke with Mike Lassell. He's meeting with two of the finalists. He may have already met with one already, to try to pare down the bids that they submitted. He also came up with an engineering solution that might save us some money. So he said by the end of the month, he should be in a position with his recommendations so that we can move forward.
Great. So he's going to try to get it back down to the 50,000.
He doesn't think he's going to get it down that low. I mean, it's the drainage that's adding a tremendous amount of cost to this. And
but it's I mean, the drainage is needed.
We need to do it. I mean, we need to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't really any choice in it. We have to do it.
Yeah. So we should have that for the next board meeting to vote on. And once that vote is done, then I submit the paperwork to the state. Because we're in a position to be able to do this differently, we do not have to wait for them to send back the approval. We can do everything as quickly as we want to.
That's great. That'll be great.
He did remind me that people who pave are not essential businesses. So
yeah, I was just about to say, it's too bad it wasn't a one-person job because.
Yeah.
All right. Shh. I'm on a meeting, please.
So that's the update on that one. On the next one, the creating the endowment fund, I sent to each of you last meeting a copy of a resolution. I'm not prepared to talk about it now, simply because the lawyer has not reviewed it. But the purpose of the endowment fund is from time to time, the library may solicit or they may receive donations that the board feels it is in the best interest of the library to save and squirrel away for a rainy day or a capital project or something that the library board feels is more strategic in nature. By placing those funds in an endowment, it protects the library from being forced to spend them on operating expenses. So, in the event that we are successful with our endowment and we're able to, raise a sufficient amount of money in our capital fund to do improvements, we also want to be careful that we're not put in a position that the town may say, well, you have all this money, so we're not going to give you money this year. So that is the purpose of establishing the endowment. Depending on the size of the endowment, what the resolution does call for is an investment committee to be comprised of representatives from the board, but also outside people who have expertise in this area. Obviously, the board would be providing direction in terms of an investment strategy, in terms of the level of risk, in terms of investments that the board is willing to make in or not make in. So, for example, tobacco companies, things like that, that would all be at the discretion of the board. But as we continue to improve the financial position of the library, as we think about how our usage has skyrocketed, and we've talked a little bit before about some of the changes that we want to make internally to this piece, now is the time for us to establish that endowment fund. It depends, however, on us successfully completing the conversion to the 501c3. I have not spoken with Ashley to see where we are with that, but I will be prepared to speak on that before the next meeting.
Okay, great. Great. That's the last thing that we need to resolve with Ashley.
I still have to switch the credit card over. I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
I just haven't had time.
Okay. If we can get those two a priority, just so we can get that wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the statements and everything now, and I paid the bill, so I have access to it. I just haven't done the next step of transferring it over.
Okay. Okay, but she's off the board now, and we should resolve anything that she was working on and move
Yep.
forward.
Yeah, no, she wanted to see the 501c3 through to completion. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to being done. We had to make one last change, and I think we're done, which
Okay,
we approved at the last meeting.
great, great. How long do you think it'll take to hear on the results of that?
I have no idea, to be honest with you, because I haven't really been intimately involved in it up to this point. But I'll have a better idea of that when I speak with her.
Okay, I'm just concerned that things may be delayed even further because of, the whole.
Well, it is the state of New York, and having established several businesses in the state of New York, once you file, you don't. I mean, I have to check about this one, but you don't necessarily have to wait to get everything back for them to be formally established as a 501c3 organization. Once you register, you're registered.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you could look into that too, because that would be great to know that once it's off and they've received it, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Does anyone have any questions for Kevin on the capital project or the endowment fund? Oh, Kevin, I was going to mention to you, the town's lawyer is notorious about not being expedient, shall we say. So I found that sometimes I have to follow up and remind them that we need that information.
Okay.
So that you might have to poke the bear.
Okay.
Whoop.
Gently.
Something. Yeah. Please. Okay. All right. Is there any other old business? Very good. Let's move on to new business. The closure. Something's just happened now. There we go. I'm click happy, I guess, and I'm making things happen on my screen. Sorry. Well, as everyone knows, the governor has required us all to remain closed through April 29th. And so we must abide by that because we are a non-essential business. The board resolution, if you had a chance to look it over, it really isn't any different than the last one. It just updates dates and the number of the executive order. And just that, we will now stay closed through the 29th. We will continue to pay our employees through the 29th. And it sets the next meeting date as the 28th, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Is that going to be a good date for everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So can I get a motion to accept the board resolution?
I'll
Motion.
make that motion.
Thank you, Paula. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Who was that?
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay, thank you. You both nodded at the same time, so I wasn't sure who it was. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right, so Jennifer, you can add that resolution, and Felicia, you can post that. How about
I
our
haven't
pandemic?
had to. Jessica's been posting it for me.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm in charge of the website, even though the website is pretty much just a replica of the Facebook page. But
Okay. Well, as long as it gets up there, I'm glad. Thank you very much. How about our pandemic response team? Anything that's been needed to be done yet?
So,
did you read it, all of you? Did you read the link I sent you?
I glanced through it, but I did not read it in great detail.
Jessica, I just want to thank you for taking the lead on that and putting that all together and taking the notes that, we included and, integrating that into the document. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks. What I've been trying to do is order more supplies so they'll be here in May.
Okay.
Since maybe we'll open, just in case, maybe we're open in May, maybe we're not, but I just want to get supplies as quickly as possible. So WB Mason has hand sanitizer. It's kind of pricey for 16-ounce bottle. It's $11.99. But
What?
Wow.
But it's you get within 2 to 3 weeks. You get it.
I would check local first, Jessica. Give Beacon Skiff a call because I was out today, and I was able at gas stations down in Cicero. They were selling Beacon Skiff hand sanitizer for the normal price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's through the Response 2020 thing that they're doing, the hand sanitizer, and then they have masks and what else they had? Alcohol wipes I found on Amazon for a pretty good, decent price.
And I can understand why Jessica doesn't want to go from store to store shopping around at this point, because
No, call them.
that's
They'll
a
ship.
lot of risk for her to take personally.
How much
So
was
to
No,
have
I-
them shipped, I think is probably
That's what
the
I'm
smarter.
implying. Beacon
Yeah.
Skiff will ship. I'm not
For
talking about
free.
going.
I think they're shipping for free.
Yeah, Jess,
Yeah.
how much was it, Jess?
$11.99 for
It's
a 16-ounce bottle.
$11.99 for a 16-ounce bottle
That's
at
insane.
W. Mason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was looking on Amazon too. All the bottles they're selling are $11 to $20 if they had any. A lot of it's unavailable.
We've got another local brewery that's also doing the hand sanitizer up here somewhere in our direction.
In Phoenix.
One in Phoenix.
Lock One Distillery, I believe it is.
I think there's another one too. I think more and more people have come on board. And being that we're local, I think, they would ship to us and be fair price.
I'm looking at Beacon Skiff right now.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too.
Dark Island and the Thousand Islands, they're doing it too. They're a distillery that turned into a sanitizer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, if Dark Island would open back up, I'd make a run for us.
Zach, that is essential.
I'll place an order.
But yeah, Jess, if you could look around, and I mean, especially since you're going to delay the shipment until May, or the beginning of May, maybe we can get a much better price.
Beacon Skiff has a 12-pack of 12-ounce containers of hand sanitizer for $50.
Wow,
Oh,
so
see,
that's
that's way
$4
better. Yeah,
$4 a piece for 12 ounce.
Beacon?
that's pretty good.
It's called Beacons?
Beak and Skiff.
Beak and Skip. It's an apple orchard.
And Skip. Okay. I've never heard of them, but okay. Beak and Skip. Skip.
Jennifer, would you mind emailing that link to her so that she doesn't have to try to search it all out?
Yeah,
That's fine.
Thank you. I was just going to ask that. Okay.
But I did look through the response that you put together, and as a person with asthma, I was very grateful to see that you said just spray them at night while we're leaving with Lysol, because that was one of my triggers anyway. So I wanted to say thank you that we're disinfecting the bags before we leave the building, not as we come in.
Do we have an air purifier in the building? In any of the rooms?
No, not to my
There's
knowledge.
dehumidifiers. There's 2 dehumidifiers, but they don't really serve that purpose.
No, that's not air purifier.
We could probably have something on the filtrate, on our furnace system put on there. A lot of times people will have a air
We
purification.
do have filters in the furnace, and we also have a filter in the children's heating cooling unit. That's reusable. You wash it and then put it back in. Which Jessica did, I want to say in January, Jess? You did that?
Mm-hmm.
Was it later than that?
But those aren't,
I
that's not an air
every so
purifier.
often. It gets pretty bad in there because
An air purifier.
There's a different,
it's just a filter. Yeah.
yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference. Another question I have as far as, because we're talking about hand sanitizer and sanitizing things when we leave at night, I had put on Jessica's desk, I found a UV, you scan it over everything and it kills the germs. It kills 99 point whatever. And I've never heard of these before. I just came across that right before this happened. It's handheld. It looks like it's about 1 foot long. And do you remember the name of that, Jessica? It was in the library catalog that came. And you can just
UV
scan.
filter lights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in other words, that every time, let's say, for example, every time a child sits down to use the iPads and then leaves, all I would have to do is, if this thing works the way it says it does, scan it over the iPad and then the next person sits down. See, so I'm not spraying any chemicals. I can do this over every computer after every person leaves, just as a everyday, after every
Cool.
use kind of thing. Yeah,
Just a-
I've never seen anything like it before, and it beats, because you know how we're spraying stuff. That stuff's poison. We can't spray that in between each person coming in. We
Right.
can't wiping down our electronics all the time would not be beneficial to them, especially the touchpads. What are we going to wipe those with every time a kid comes in and then walks away, and then we got another kid to come in? Whereas we can run this thing over iPads, the keyboards, the chairs, kids touch chairs, and all the toys. Think about the toys that we have that we cannot take home every day and wash.
Right, and that
So-
was one thing that I know was in the response document, that we wouldn't be putting the toys back out until after this is well past, and I
Right.
thought that made a lot of sense.
My
Well, I'm just
concern,
thinking for future
my
sanitation.
concern with the UV is it's a potential health hazard for you.
Oh,
If you're using it all the time, it could cause cataracts in your eyes. It could cause skin cancer.
okay,
So if you're using it 25, 30 times a day, it's a health risk for you.
okay.
I do think
Okay.
it's something to look into, as Healthway makes them right down the road, of doing some sort of air filtration in the building anyway. That is the easiest way to just take out what's there.
And we have Healthways locally who does
right,
that.
and we have a local
Well, and
company.
I know their director of giving, so maybe I can contact her and see if they would be willing to make a donation to the library.
Healthway? Oh, she's probably
Well,
not there.
that sounds like a press release in the making.
I was going to say, we'll
Totally.
certainly give them a lot of publicity for it.
Yeah, she just gave us some money for the backpack program, so I'll talk to Linda and ask her.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we need something that's not going to harm people. At
Yeah.
this point, I don't know that there's anything that's going to be 100% harmless.
Yeah, the
But-
issue that she may have is they're barely able to keep up. I mean,
They're working like 6 days a week right
Yeah.
now.
yeah.
Insane.
Wow.
Okay. Well, and it may be something, that we won't be able to get until after we
Well,
reopen.
it doesn't hurt to ask.
Right. But
Yeah.
once we have it in place, because, they're still talking about the possibility of a second wave and all that. So if we can get it in at some point,
Well, this
it's
is
better than not having it at all.
This is the new normal. These are kinds of things that we need to now plan for, that we know that can happen, and we have to plan and take whatever precautions we can.
I hate
Yeah.
that expression, the new normal.
Normal is only a setting on the dryer.
Oh,
All right. Anything else for the pandemic response team?
I think we need to talk about, or start to think about, a phase back in process at some point. We didn't get into that too much yet in the document, but how do we slowly open so that kids and adults, families have access to our materials, even if we can't have them all swarming the library at once? To just think about that process.
yeah, I think
Right, especially with the governors, getting together and working out a plan themselves to say,
Yes.
we can't just go running right back to work because
Right.
someone's going to have the virus and just bring it all up again.
Mhm.
yeah, my guess is that they're going to limit the number of people that can be in a public space at any time when they reopen. So, Jess, we might want to start planning. I mean, I don't know what we could do, but I suppose, I don't know if people could, reserve their books online and then pick them up. I don't
That
know.
could, well, yeah, I thought of that before, like almost like a drive-by, like they reserve what they want, call us, like we call them when it's in normally.
Right.
So then they could maybe schedule a pickup time or something. Maybe we could do it so that we're having limited exposure. I don't know. It's just,
Well,
Is it
that's
what-
definitely something for the pandemic response team. I mean, that's why we created that,
yeah,
so that they can come up with the best viable options.
that's why I'm shooting it out there.
Okay.
If we have people come in the building or something, then it's gonna be kind of I'm worried about people coming in because sometimes they don't read signs and they'll all come in at once. As soon as they see cars in the driveway, they all want to come in.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have like a bouncer outside and say, stop, there's 10 people in here, you gotta leave. So
Well,
I was going to say, I have a feeling the library assistant is going to become a part-time bouncer, where we're just saying, all right, we're at our limit, our capacity right now. If you would like to wait a half hour, we'll try to limit the time that people are in the building. Give them a half hour window to do what they need to do, an hour if they're using the computer, and then they'll have to rotate out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Kevin, something to consider with the budget is we may have to look at bringing a sub in each day, because with the workload that our
exactly.
library, our director and our assistant are going to have just from getting back on board, because there's a lot, I'm sure it's got to be checked back in and reshelved and all that, cleaned first, that we're going to need an assistant to help with other matters as well, another assistant, a sub.
Okay.
So we'll have to look at that. Yeah, and as far as the person at the door, that came up from the governor's discussions, that you really don't have the time or the manpower to stand there and take everybody's temperature at the door.
Mhm.
So
No, depending how they roll it out, there could be other things we do. So for example, maybe we open and we don't have public technology, right? Because we don't want people spending hours in the library.
Exactly.
Maybe we open and, it's just for dropping books off, checking books, checking books out, but I'm sure the team will come up with what they need to do.
Yeah.
So a lot for you guys to think about.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with the pandemic response document.
I was too.
Very happy to see that much thought had been put into the worker safety. Was fantastic.
Yeah, I was very happy with it. I was very pleased with it. Proud that you guys were able to pull that much information together. It was very much appreciated, and I understand, from Celicia and Sherry and Jessica, they appreciate that as well, because we have to consider them. I don't want to say above the patrons, but they're our front line. We have to make sure that they're safe.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, let's get my cursor over here. Do we have anything else for the pandemic response team? Is there any other new business?
about the pandemic thing, maybe slowly start going from, starting from the outside with curbside pickup and then slowly easing them back inside with, the tape to social distance, 6 feet tape, and kind of slowly get people back in that way.
That's something you guys can discuss in your team. One thing to consider about the social distancing, the 6 feet, you're going to have to figure out how to do that from the door to the assistant's checkout desk, because people are going to be standing in line right by all the videos, right in the entrance area, and then they've got to come back through there. You might have to reroute them around.
I was going to say, we may have to have an indoor and an exit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that they're not going back by the people that are
Right.
in line. Yeah.
Just-
Right.
And I think actually that's part of the governor's requirements for being open right now, is that you've got to have separate entrance and exit. That's why Walmart's got their whole door system changed, and
Yeah.
Really
That's the
think
other thing I'm thinking.
keep
The
in
other
mind,
thing I'm sorry, go ahead.
the thing to keep in mind is, I know that everyone's ready to get back to normal, but I don't think we're gonna have a lot of fear going forward that if he opened
Mhm.
tomorrow, the library is not gonna be packed tomorrow. We have to.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
We'll be ready, but everyone, you can see it in the store. You see someone at the store, you don't talk to them. That's just kind of the situation we're in right now. And most people are pretty good about understanding that, especially in this area of, what we should do. So I think that just having a plan in place is good. And we still have this isn't going to happen overnight. So
Yeah.
I think really it is our lowest income patrons who will be back immediately, and that will require the most patience.
Mhm.
Because they need the services. It's not just a boost to their family activities. It really is that they need the services the library offers them. So
Do we have, I mean, I just don't know, I'm not familiar enough with it, but we have a fairly large senior population?
Jess, we get quite a few seniors in. I'd say they're about
25, 35% probably. I mean,
I'm only asking because I know that we're delivering meals. The food pantry is delivering food to seniors. I'm just wondering if, depending on how long this lasts, maybe we could, I could probably get the list and we could team up and see if there's any patrons on there that might want some books delivered when we deliver the food.
I would love that, to do that.
There's some
There-
that have been asked like online of people, do you have certain books? Large print books have been a big request for people that a lot of us just don't have available as large print.
Okay, more for the pandemic response team to come up with, you know, when they start to develop a plan for getting us back open again.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So our next meeting is scheduled for April 28th, same time, 6 p.m. I don't believe we have anything we need to go into executive session for. So if no one has anything else, that was last call.
I'm just hoping if Chaz or Jennifer could, those questions I posed at the beginning, if they could just call me, in my home, and I'm sure they could guide me through. I don't think it's anything too difficult here that I think I'm just not logging in correctly to the Facebook account. So if either one of them can, or Jessica, chime in, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight and taking the time out.
I'll
And
make a
just
motion to adjourn, or?
thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Just in case if someone didn't see Paula's email, Paula works for the Department of Labor. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Because I'm sure right now that that's not a very appreciated position
It's not fun
by
right now,
certain
no.
people. But Paula's actually been returning people's calls at 9 o'clock at night. So she's one of those people out on the front lines who's an essential worker and is going above and beyond. And I'm very happy that she was able to take the time out to be with us this evening.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Paula.
Yep.
All right, have a good evening, everyone.
Yep, good night.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Take care.